First story. If karma is real, the universe is telling me I'm at fault. 25-year relationship where I thought I was with my soulmate and love of my life, and believed her every time she told me the same. 2 years since D-Day, when it became clear my ex's relationship with a younger co-worker was not innocent. She still denies that it was an affair. 1 year since attempted reconciliation, in quotes, because it was only me trying desperately to keep our family together while she lied about continuing to see her co-worker. Missed dates with me, lied to me, my kids and our therapist, and used me to pay for everything for the kids so she could financially support her co-worker. My daughter found proof of this 8 months since the divorce was final. She now lives with him. They travel all the time when she told me travel was a waste of money. She spends weekends with his family and tells our kids how wonderful he is and they are. That she's never been happier. That I was a horrible husband who made her so unhappy, even though I was the main breadwinner, main housekeeper, main child care provider, and spent every second I could with her, telling her how much I appreciated her. It apparently meant nothing, but he is everything she ever wanted. My kids hate her. I tried to be diplomatic at first and encourage. They give her a chance to try to make the transition as easy on them as possible, but they insist that any married woman with 2 kids who knowingly pursues a married man doesn't even attempt to speak to the ex or them before she moves out. She didn't even tell them she was moving out. They come home after being with me and she's just packing her stuffs one day, and is now whining about how she spending time with her kids is diminishing their relationship, doesn't deserve their time or respect. My ex blames me entirely for this, saying I must be filling their heads with lies, but they are 14 and 18. They aren't dumb. My life has completely fallen apart since she left. The kids yell at me all the time because they don't feel comfortable talking to their mom about how unhappy they are. My daughter was diagnosed with a heart condition and potentially PTSD because her mom minimized her symptoms and told her it was all in her head, and is now taking off without telling them where she is going all the time. I am struggling at work and potentially losing my job due to contract issues. My son is struggling since graduating high school, and I am working like crazy to get him set up in life while his mom actively works against me. I had emergency surgery because my brain randomly started bleeding and am now struggling to pay the hospital bill. The doctors have no idea why it didn't kill me, and my ex could not have cared less, which devastated me. She told the kids it wasn't a big deal, so they are still angry with her when I was rushed to the hospital. And she chose that time to fight with my daughter over her wanting to stay at my house to feel closer to me instead of with her. And I was rear-ended, and both insurances are not claiming responsibility, so I can't get my car fixed without paying myself. I am taking this as a clear sign that I am the problem. Her life is going great and mine is an absolute train wreck. I was barely holding it all together after the brain surgery. Being told I will probably lose my job, then getting in the wreck, have destroyed me. I am actually angry that the brain bleed didn't kill me, as I am now left alive and alone to be tortured further. I feel I must have been the worst husband ever if she is so much happier with this man who mistreats my children, and she would rather yell at them or ignore them over letting his go. That I must be so worthless and disposable if I can pour absolutely everything into our relationship and family for 25 years, and she doesn't even miss me. If karma is real, it is making it painfully clear I'm the one who messed up. The kids and I are all in counseling. We all were before all of this happened due to other life events. Long story short, my sister was dying of cancer when she started her affair. Through that process, it came out my mother was either borderline or a narcissist, which exploded family trauma. In other words, she could not have chosen a worse time to betray me. She is now angry because both the kids' counselors are encouraging boundaries with her, as she continues to try to force them to interact with her. She says everyone but she and her counselor is wrong about everything that happened. My daughter is convinced she's lying to her counselor. or twisting what she says to benefit herself, as she accuses her of weird things like deflecting when she asks her a question, and she doesn't want to answer it, or of cyberbullying since she only will communicate hard things with her through text because she cries or talks over her when she tries to in person. Both kids refused to go on a week-long trip with them a couple weeks ago, and things have been super strained between the ex and the kids since then. They were with me for 3 weeks where a lot came out about their true feelings. When she got back, she told them she was going to try harder, then the next day told them she wouldn't let them spend time with me on my birthday or at any other events on her days, when she had previously agreed to let them if they wanted to. My 18-year-old son finally stood up to her at this point and said he's 18. He doesn't have days, and he will do what he wants, which is huge, because he has never stood up to his mom before. But it has made his mom retaliate and tell him that as long as she, the ex, pays for things, he has to do what she says. I told her if she ever says that again, he can just leave, and I will cover the few things his mom pays for him, since she refuses to pay for his medical, since my son doesn't want to tell her what happens in his appointments, as is his right, and is now threatening to not pay for his schooling. It's hard because I feel like I am dealing with a total stranger right now who cannot be reasoned with in any way. Deep down they don't hate her, which I am glad for. At least not at this point. She was a great mother, until she wasn't. She became a completely different person once she met her coworker. They are still desperately wanting her to choose them, and she hasn't as of yet. The devastation on their faces when they realized she took off with her coworker, instead of asking to at least spend a day with them after she hadn't seen them for 3 weeks, was heart-shattering. They want their mom back and are hoping her coworker leaves so it happens. But my daughter said after the latest betrayal, she brought the boyfriend to my daughter's nationals dance competition, after she explicitly told her she didn't want him there, as she didn't want to stress over having to interact with him, when she should be focusing on her performances. She said that it wouldn't matter at this point if she tried to make amends or never did, because she could never trust her again. My son is the 18-year-old. He is looking for jobs, but he also has disabilities, so it's extra difficult. We are working with a counselor and a psychiatrist to get him re-evaluated to come up with a game plan. My ex is working against this, as she did when he was 5, and I got him evaluated when I noticed he wasn't progressing like his peers. She didn't want her son labeled, but if he hadn't been diagnosed, he wouldn't have gotten all the amazing services he had that got him through school. Now it is determining what we can do for him as an adult, which again the ex is working against, so my son decided just not to tell her, which I support for as long as he feels that way. I have gone no contact outside of my daughter's schedule, schooling and medical information now that my son is 18. I insisted we only communicate through an app. I will not speak to her in person for my sake. Though she tries, as I am still in love with her and won't heal if I think there is even a smidgen of a chance she cares about me at all, even though she has made it painfully clear he doesn't at all. I, on the other hand, can't just shut off the unconditional, fathomless love I had for her, and it's heart-crushing that it was so easy for her to do. I hear things from my kids who are suffering massively. In their minds we were a happy, fun-loving family, until she suddenly decided she was miserable and needed someone who needed her to be her white knight. Her co-worker was also married when they started their relationship. She tells our kids they bonded talking about how awful their marriages were, which was news to me, as she would come home and tell me how amazing and wonderful and thoughtful I was. Until the day I told her a random guy from her work calling her at all hours of the night, talking to my kids and sending them gifts wasn't appropriate, and I would like to meet him if he was just a friend. Then suddenly she was miserable for years and could not get away from me fast enough. I don't seek out information about her, but I hear it because of our kids. They are miserable and understandably want to come home and vent where they feel safe after being around them. She also goes through waves where she sends me endless messages over ridiculous things, When she feels she's not getting her way, which is happening right now with our son finally standing up for himself to her. My self-esteem, which was already a mess to begin with, is in the gutter. She would tell me I was an amazing, beautiful, wonderful personality she would never leave until right before she did. And now I'm this horrible, unlovable person who mistreated her. I feel like it must be true because she doesn't miss me like I miss her. That I must not have been as good a husband as I tried to be if she's so much happier with him. And it must have been absolutely miserable living with me. If she is choosing her kids, wanting little to do with her, and missing out on so much of their lives other than even attempting to work things out, that her co-worker must be amazing to make this all worth it. The more my kids come home and cry in my arms, the more she tries to force him onto them, telling them they will love him. The more she attacks me for not doing absolutely everything he wants, the more I feel like I must have really been awful for her to choose all that over being with me. Divorce was finalized in December. She initiated. She was absolutely thrilled to be done with me completely once her co-worker divorce was finalized. I would love for her to have consequences, but right now it seems she has none. She goes home to someone she claims she loves more and is happier with than she ever was with me. She has our children 50% of the time, and doesn't seem to care at all that they lock themselves in their rooms over spending time with her. I live in the house we bought a year before she left, even though it was the house she wanted because she couldn't afford to pay for it on her own. Little did I know she was moving her coworker in quickly and has two disposable incomes while I struggle to cover the thousands I am paying out for repairs, medical bills, and all the unexpected bills that come with living. That is where I am struggling so much. Everyone says she will regret it. I was too good for her. She will get her, etc., but she's getting nothing but off scot-free. I have all the consequences. I am now facing a miserable life where the man I have loved more than anything since I was 17 years is not bothered at all that she will never see me again. I am dealing with endless life issues completely on my own. My brain tried to kill me, and I had to tell the nurses that I had no family coming to be with me, when we didn't know if I would even survive the surgery. Seems to me all the consequences are mine. And I have 4 more years before I can cut him out of my life completely and somehow be okay with the idea that someday my kids may even like the person he destroyed our lives for and want her coworker involved in their events. I don't know how to deal with any of it. Second story. I, 34M, found videos and pictures of my wife, 34F, with another couple. How do I tell her I'm no longer comfortable being around the other couple? I found videos and photos of my wife engaging in multiple sex acts with a couple we are currently friends with. So I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. My wife and I have been married now for just shy of 12 years. We met in college between her junior and senior years. During this time I also met her close friends Brian and Chloe. They were high school sweethearts who are currently married and friends still with my wife and myself. I've been off work now for a week. Due to mine accruing to many leave days, I had to burn some or I would lose them. School is about to start back up, so I figured I would clean the house and generally straighten up everything while the kids are still in summer camp and my wife is at work. While moving things into the attic on Tuesday, I stumbled across an old filing cabinet, like the small one you can put on a desk. Inside I found a flash drive with a red heart colored on it. Now I'll admit my curiosity got the best of me, and so I popped downstairs and threw it into the computer. Once I opened it up, there was only one folder titled Summer of Love. Looking in that folder, I found pictures and videos of my wife, Brian, and Chloe engaging in various sexual acts. Looking into it further, it was apparent that it was the summer we met. When my wife got home that evening, I couldn't hold it in, just asked her about the summer of love. She immediately got defensive and saying that I broke her trust by going through her things. We got into a huge fight, where I found out she had been their third for around 5 months or so and it ended at the end of summer. And our relationship looked like it was going strong. She says it was college, we and her weren't serious yet, and that I was making her feel bad for things that happened years in the past. I told her I wasn't very comfortable being friends with Brian and Chloe anymore. This only led to more fighting. So honestly right now I'm just kind of lost. I'm not comfortable seeing Brian and Chloe after seeing what I saw, but it's driving a wedge between me and my wife. I'm not sure if I should make it an ultimatum like choose me or them. I have so many feelings. This may get lost in my mind, but I am sure when me and my wife were dating. First of all, I'm obviously not in the best headspace right now, but let me clarify. I met her in June 2010. The relationship with Brian and Chloe ended in August, when my wife returned to school after 5 months, so something like March is when it started. In regards to dating, I felt like by July we were definitely going strong and monogamous. Again, I'm messing up with confusion. So I think we should have been exclusively together in July. She did post a Facebook picture acknowledging me as her boyfriend in the beginning of August. That relationship didn't end until the end of August. In regard to the boyfriend and girlfriend thing, I would say sometime at the beginning of August, she posted a picture on Facebook where she called me her boyfriend. That's honestly how I feel though now. All the times we hung out knowing that I was the odd one out of the loop. Like the one person not getting the inside joke, which now feels like I'm the joke. And again, like you said, if there even wasn't a Chloe, I would still like to know if we were hanging out with a fucking ex. Not knowing had me feeling like a fool. I think some people are getting hung up on me being mad that she engaged in this threesome with her friends, and that may be my fault for not getting that across in my post. I'll admit it does kinda suck to see what I saw. More that I'm just upset that she kept the fact that these friends are actually exes, and that we've been hanging out with them for years. Honestly, I don't think I'd be upset if she had just said that years ago that hey, I didn't think we were exclusive and so me, Brian, and Chloe used to hook up. Instead it's been a secret. Honestly, I'm trying to work through all this. In 12 years I have never once had even the gut feeling she was unfaithful. Trust me, it hurts to know that she was doing all this while we were in the beginnings of our relationship, but I can almost get past that. What hurts me the most is the fact that these people have been a part of our lives and no one has once ever said anything about that. Nothing at all. Third story. The craziest girl I've ever met. I don't even know where to begin. My GF 19 and me 20 met on Tinder. We had mutual friends, so hung out at a party. She had just graduated high school. We got drunk and I took her virginity that night. The first night we met. Fast forward a month and I asked her to be my girlfriend. She moved into college, I'm not in college. She joined a sorority, and eventually as time went on I wanted to see if she was loyal. I went through her phone and found flirty texts between her and another guy. I cried because of this, and left in the middle of the night. She convinced me it was nothing and I believed her. Later on, a few months later, she goes out one night and ends up staying the night at a frat house. I had no idea of this. She paused her location and lied about it in the morning, saying that her location messed up and she never actually stayed there. I somewhat believed her, but not completely. We hung out that day and I asked her in person if she stayed there and she said she didn't. She put it on God and her own mom that she didn't, so I said okay. That night, I stayed with her and went through her phone to find a text between her and her roommate asking her roommate to pick her up from the frat house that morning. I told her this and she got defensive and asked why I was going through her phone. I left that night and didn't come back. That weekend I went back up there. She told me she slept on a beanbag and didn't fall asleep with another guy. I believed her, and we continued with our relationship. Eventually, January comes around and we break up because of other issues. That night she went out for a friend's birthday and stayed at the same frat house again. We somehow reconnected again. The guy she was seeing was the guy she flirted with at the beginning. A few months later, she tells me they kissed that night. Then summer comes around, and she gets grounded at 19 years old because of her grades. Her parents found her transcript and went through her phone. Not sure if I mentioned, but her parents never knew about me. They found all of our texts and were always weird about her having a boyfriend. Her parents blocked me on every social media she had. She was grounded for a month and got back into contact with me after we didn't talk for a month. She claimed she changed and wanted to be better. I believed this. She said she'd stay loyal to me and wouldn't prioritize guys at all this school year and focus on what she needs to do. The day she was supposed to go back, I found out she slept with this guy those 2 nights she stayed at the frat house. The guy and I talked on the phone, and he shows me all these pictures of them together. Somehow, once again, she manipulated me into thinking she didn't do anything. We continued, and now I'm on vacation. She's going through sorority recruitment, and I wanted to test if she actually changed. I made a fake Snapchat and posed as another guy. I made sure to make it somewhat believable. She fell for this and cheated again. Then she got suspicious and asked if it was me who made this fake account. I said yes it was, and she got pissed off. She said I'm psychotic and told me to never contact her again. She blocked me on everything, and I'm here, on vacation, dealing with this heartbreak and betrayal. Except I love her and I really wish I didn't. All of the manipulation she did to convince me she'd changed was actually believable, but I fell for it every time. I've never been through the shit I've been with her. Not too long ago, in February, I got her pregnant. We had to go through an abortion, which I didn't really want to do. But I guess even getting pregnant by me couldn't keep her loyal. It's insane that she's the way she is. What could she be thinking? It seems like she doesn't care, but she always came back every time we had something happen. If there's any woman that could help, it'd be much appreciated. Fourth story. My wife, 37F, confessed she cheated on me, 30M. I am a 30-year-old male and my wife is 37-year-old female. We have been together for 7.5 years and married for 1.5. We have a 2-year-old together. Yesterday we went for a drive where she wanted to talk to me and just said that she cheated on me. She said it happened 2 weeks ago when she was in another state celebrating a mutual friend's 30th. I didn't go so that I could stay home with our 2-year-old, so he had one of his parents and also would save costs on the flights. Now a little more background is that we have had a few little issues to do with our sexual relationship over the last 6 months. This is mainly due to my low sex drive, but also I have some bad asthma, and so some nights when I would want to have sex it is actually hard to do it that night, because it is hard to breathe even lying down in bed. We did not get married for the sake of having our child, but instead she ended up getting pregnant shortly after I proposed to her, and we decided to have a slightly longer date for the wedding due to COVID still being present and didn't want it to affect the process or make cancellations. We have now since sold our house and staying with my parents as we are building our dream home in a few months' time. Since we had a more in-depth discussion about this 2 months ago, we have started to get more intimate and spend more time together more often. It seemed that our relationship had been strengthening more than this had to go and happen. She was very drunk at the time and sexy drunk, texting me, and maybe some of these emotions and also missing me came up, and she just didn't think. She knows what she did was wrong, regrets it, and wants to try to work it out as well for the sake of all we have worked for and also so we cannot make it harder for our son's life. What are some things that could be suggested on how to go forward with this? I do still love her and don't want it to end, but it does seem like it's going to be incredibly hard and a never-ending process. What should I do?